Destination Yori, it's the morning programme. Rowan Hand with you this morning, your host. Inspector Andy Magowan, how are you?
Very good, thank you, Rowan.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
I thought when I saw the pips on your epaulets that Davy Beckett had some kind of transformation.
No, he's
but
cried
you and
off.
Davy split the patch up between. You're the sector commander.
Sector commander for Southdown, yes.
For Southdown, and Kilkeel is your base.
Kilkeel and Warren Point.
And Warren Point. What are your issues at the moment that you're concerned with?
The main things at the moment are road safety, always a big one. Already 71 deaths this year, which is not acceptable, really.
No. No need for it.
No, absolutely not, absolutely not. And I'll explain a bit about what we've been doing recently about that.
Yeah.
Also burglaries. There's been a rise in burglaries recently, particularly walk-in burglaries and shed burglaries.
Opportunistic.
Yes, the walk-in burglaries particularly are opportunistic. The walk-in burglary is what we call a burglary where the burglar just walks in through an open door and has no barrier to get through. And it could be domestic properties or it could be commercial properties.
Yes.
They see an opportunity, they may see a handbag through a window, they'll try the door, walk in and take the handbag.
My goodness. Is there much of this going on? Because is there a group of people out there within our lovely community who are watching and waiting?
I think that's true to say. There are people that would take those opportunities if the opportunity does arise. And yes, they are on the lookout for deficiencies in people's security. Particularly, as I said, the open door type of burglary. But also, we've seen an increase recently in shed burglaries.
Yes, and in sheds, of course, garden equipment.
Yes, and it's expensive equipment for people to replace, and sometimes not covered by the insurance. So what I would advise and suggest to people is that they get good quality locks on their sheds and they check them frequently to make sure that things are secure.
Yes, of course.
But I would make this plea to people, and that would be to report any suspicious activity to the 101 number. Call the police. We don't mind turning out to reports of suspicious activity in vehicles and that kind of thing, and we will turn out and we'll investigate it on the behalf of the caller. But people seem a bit reluctant to do that. They think that they're bothering the police. But I can assure people that we're very interested to get that kind of information.
It's like it's almost like a community alert scheme.
It is.
Well, I know there are designated community alert areas, but this is a wider, sort of more informal thing. The 101 number is there, and people, if they respond to it, no call to feel embarrassed. Just do it if you see what you perceive to be bad guys. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck.
Exactly.
So
right.
if you think they're crooks, the chances are they are, and we can get them stopped.
We also have, to support that, the text alert scheme, which allows people to register on the scheme, register their mobile phone number, and if there is suspicious activity in the area, we can send out a group text to everybody that's registered and give them an early warning that suspicious activity is happening in that area, or there's been a recent burglary.
Yeah. How closely do you work with the older population? Because you might have a widow or a widower living alone, husband gone, wife gone. These people are people capable of being frightened.
They do, and possibly feeling vulnerable when they see people like me coming on and talking about burglaries and actually real life incidents. But we do work with the older generation through Neighbourhood Watch scheme, for example.
Yes.
All the information is on the PSNI website if people have got access to it. Of their local neighbourhood policing team, and everybody should know who their local neighbourhood officers are. If they don't, then they can get it either from the website or just stop an officer in the street and find out and ask, or speak to the neighbourhood watch coordinator, who will be able to put them in touch with them.
Because you guys, as well as being policemen with epaulets and pips, you've got grannies and grandfathers and mothers and fathers, and you wish to be helpful to the older folk.
Exactly. And if people need any advice on home security, all they have to do is ask, and we will send somebody around to advise, to check the premises, to see if there's anything that can be done to improve the security of the premises.
There is a kind of predilection. Maybe it's an Irish Ulster thing. I don't know. That people, they don't like to question people who come to the door. If somebody says, I'm here from the electric board, sweetheart, how are you doing, love? Aye, come on in.
People do take things at face value.
That's not the way to do it.
No.
And without frightening you, we want to tell you how to do it.
No, the correct thing to do is to phone the organisation that the person says that they represent.
If you're not expecting them.
If you're not expecting them, but ask them for ID, even if you are expecting them, to make sure you know who's coming in. Anybody that's a bona fide visitor to your home will have appropriate identification from the company that they represent.
And delighted to show it to you.
Exactly. And allow you to read it, not just a flash.
No, read it carefully.
Read it carefully.
Sure. But I mean, the notion of feeling under pressure to say, come on in. No, your home is, well, what is it they say? Your home is your castle.
Exactly.
And, you know, you've spent a lifetime procuring it and paying for it, and maybe you're still paying for it. But I mean, once someone comes to your door, it's a mighty big thing to say to them, please come in. That's a big thing to do. And please only do it when you're absolutely sure of the person's bona fides.
Exactly, that's correct.
You know, you could take me round top of a police car speaking about this all the time. Oh, dear, oh, dear.
You do a better job of it than I would.
But the thing then, of course, is to know that we talked about roads earlier and road safety.
Yes.
And we've gone now from the older folk and their vulnerability in their homes, the younger folk and their vulnerability on the roads, for goodness sake.
Yes. We see all too frequently, this year there's been 71 deaths, which is 14 more than last year, and we still have another 6 weeks to go before the end of the year.
And there was a carload of young fellas. One was 19. He was a passenger, and the others were in their early 20s recently.
Yes.
And those are lives wiped out.
They are snuffed out.
Snuffed.
It has a huge impact on families. We are running some events. We're running one tomorrow, actually, in St. Louis, in Kilkeel, for the sixth formers in South Down area. And that's a demonstration and presentations about road safety. And we're actually having the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service reconstruct a road traffic accident, and they're going to cut me out of a vehicle with all their hydraulic cutting equipment. So I'm looking forward to that even more than I was looking forward to this morning.
You've met here this morning Andy Houdini Magowan.
But I just would like to illustrate the levels of inappropriate driving activity on the road. Because recently, last month, we put together a small team in response to the huge number of deaths, purely focusing on road safety. And they operated for a 4-week period throughout Newry and Morton. And altogether, they issued 143 advisory warnings to motorists. They offered 20 discretionary disposals. They issued 301 fixed penalties. They arrested 7 people. And are prosecuting another 22 through the courts, and that is a huge number of people
for 1 month
that have transgressed the road traffic law. So I would urge people to slow down, to wear their seatbelt, not to drink and drive, and not to use their mobile phone when they're in the car. Turn the mobile phone off, or put it somewhere where you can't use it.
I was going to say that because I'll be honest, I do not use my mobile phone in the car. But there might have been a time when it goes off and you're racing to somewhere and you just click it to what is it. And I think one needs to be proactive in saying, I do not use my mobile in the car. You need to say that to yourself. And the way of doing it is to proactively switch it off.
Exactly.
And leave it there. Because unless you do that, you will invariably find yourself certainly faced with the temptation to look at it, to use it. That will certainly happen. You'll be tempted. And sometimes you'll succumb to the temptation.
You will.
So if you switch it off, it's dead space until you leave the car again.
That's right. And then you can focus your attention on the road and other road users.
Because the thing about, who am I telling? You know this better than I do. But I'm 71 now. I did my test at 17, 18, before there was a motorway, so it's a long time ago. Maybe that's my bona fide for
before I was born.
Saying, before you were born, indeed, young fella, sit you there. But the long and the short of it is that your attention wanders, and you really have to be. I'm not talking about mobile phones here, but maybe you've seen something past somebody. Oh, there's Joe, or That's a fine-looking lady there. And you're for a moment, you're distracted by something. In that moment, you could be taken out. And that's what people need to be careful of.
Or take someone else out.
Or take someone else out. It can happen so very, very easily, you know. Christmas, busy time for you?
Yes, we're looking forward to Christmas. Obviously, the nighttime economy gets a boost at Christmas time. People like to get out and enjoy themselves, but it always comes back to, you know, keeping yourself safe. Organise a taxi, don't drink and drive, don't be tempted. But back to the burglaries. This is the time of year when our houses are full of gifts and presents for people, and the burglars know this. And again, this is all about
clever
the
guys.
Yeah.
Clever guys. Yeah. Okay. And girls, for goodness sake. So Christmas, be careful. And we you know, we're talking to the Salvation Army people about the Newry Nights thing. The buddy system when you're going out into the nighttime economy. We used to do it in our diving days. Under the water, you had a buddy. Buddy looked after buddy. When you're out in the nighttime economy, in the jungle that it can be, buddy system, look after each other. That's the way forward.
It is.
Inspector Andy Magowan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Rose.
God bless you. It's good to see you. Take care. Thank you.